Good morning everybody. Today is the something, but it's a Sunday, I know that much, and I'm making my way down to Dawlish motorcycle show. Should be interesting. Not been there before. I believe it was cancelled at one point. Was it this year or the year before? Either way, it's on this year, and as I say, I've never been there, but I'm gonna make my way down there and see what it's all about. Okay, so just arrived in Dawlish. For those who don't know, Dawlish is a seaside town. Beautiful place, one of my best places in the world. So over here, you see the bike show over there on the green. We've got the famous little stream that goes down to the sea. Looks lovely at night as well. It's all lit up down here. And I'm going to make my way over and see what bikes are to be seen. Some guys there. Oh, smell a two-stroke, you can't beat it, can you? Alright, let's go and have a look. So, I've only just got here, and this has only just opened. I think it's about 10:30. It started at 10 o'clock. And so this is what we have so far. Food place over there, a ice cream van, Devon Advanced Motorcyclists, Devon Air Ambulance, blood bikes, and a few more over here as well. So we're gonna have a little look at the bikes. Oh, lovely Norton there, look. Beautiful. Proper condition that is. Triumph's Trident, do like that bike. Very light, very nimble. A brilliant first time big bike. T7, they're big old lumps. Very capable. Look very capable as well. Yeah, it's that whole big bike thing, isn't it? When you're going off-road, if you do drop it, then it's bit of a lump to pick up, but again, it's all about having a capable machine, isn't it? MC09. We've got, oh look, nice. 1000 there. It's a beautiful machine. That is the road version type. Oh, it's Jolly Rogers. Hello, mate. Evil Knievel. He's a proper legend, that was. They don't make them like that anymore, do they? Over here we have a Velocette. Very nice example that is. 1937. Chris Coote. Little drum brakes there. Funny little tyres, look. Let's have a look then. Look at that exhaust, beautiful. Straight through exhaust. No catalytic converters to dumb it down. Filmed with Lucy Worsley riding pillion as Agatha Christie and me playing Archie to whisk her away from Ugbourne House, where she attended a weekend party and dumped. Oh, hello, young man. Might as well have a chat with you, haven't I? There you go. Chris, Steve, nice to meet you.
Pleased to meet you, Steve.
Tell us about your Velocette. How did you come about it and what's the history?
Well, this is a 1937 Velocette KSS, as they described it, and it's a bike that was made by the company in Birmingham. The original design of the motor was 1925.
So Velocette are made in Birmingham, were they?
They made
back then?
Hall Green in Birmingham. Some people see the name and think it's a French bike.
Yes.
The name came because the original company was called Veloce, which is Italian for speed, or veloce, whatever. But they started making small motorcycles after the Great War, especially for ladies.
Oh, okay.
And so they called the ladies' bikes a Velocette. That's
Yes. Got the "et" in there.
Yeah, got the "et" on there to say it's a smaller bike. And they were very successful, and they were so successful they decided to keep that name right the way through.
Right, got you.
And so 1925 they introduced this engine that was designed back into the Great War, the world's first overhead cam motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
Right. Shane, the guy who designed it, patented it, but of course numerous other manufacturers copied it.
Yes.
Principally, the bike that's next door to mine,
Yep.
Ducati.
Right, yeah.
So Ducati owe all their success in the 50s
To this one,
when
to
they
these here.
established it with this design of engine.
Yeah.
So it's 350cc. The factory were quite enthusiastic about racing. They held the World Championship for 350 class twice before the Second World War.
Yeah.
And they held the 350 World Championship twice after the Second World War.
Excellent.
With the final developments of this engine.
Now, a question I got for you, can you take us through the controls? Because I always see these levers and bits and bobs here, but I never know quite what they do. Can you show us what they do?
We'll start with the easy one. This is the choke.
Yeah.
So at the moment the choke is off, and you move the lever down, and that drops a little bar into the centre of the carburettor to put the choke on.
Yeah.
In fact, on this bike I very rarely use the choke.
Mm-hmm.
And on this side, you've got a similar looking lever. So this is the advancing retard for the ignition.
Oh, okay.
So it's not automatic like it is on a modern car or a modern bike. So you have to, this is fully advanced at the moment, so that's maximum power.
Yeah.
But you need to pull it back about halfway.
So what does that activate?
It activates cam on the magneto.
Yeah.
It's magneto ignition, it's not coil ignition.
Oh, okay.
So it's self-generating, you don't need a battery to make it go.
Yeah.
All you've got to do is spin the engine.
And the dynamo.
It's a magneto which has got effectively a small dynamo in it.
Right.
Which generates enough voltage, and then inside the magneto there are windings, so you've got a high tension winding which produces a spark for the plug.
Yes.
So all you've got to do is get that magneto rotated. So you pull it back about there. If you don't pull it back there,
yeah,
you try and start the bike on full advance. That means a spark is going to occur before the piston gets to the top.
Right.
Then it can kick back, and of course,
yes,
you're trying to kick-start it.
And you can break a leg.
Break a leg.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea to pull that back, and then once you get motoring with bobbing petrol, you don't need to worry too much. You can just put it around to full advance.
Yes. Got ya.
The little lever under here.
Yeah.
So that's a decompressor. So you've got to get the engine and the piston in exactly the right place before you attempt to kickstart it.
Got ya.
So you've got such a high compression that it's quite difficult to turn the engine over with a kickstarter and get it over compression.
Yeah.
So you pull this little lever, and that lifts the exhaust valve.
Yes.
So you've lost compression.
I see.
You can turn the engine over to get to exactly the right point.
Yeah, and where's that right point? I guess it's bottom dead centre, is it?
You have to get it up onto compression, get it over compression the other side,
yeah,
take it down a bit. So when you kick it, you're somewhere near the bottom of the stroke. You're aiming to get the flywheel moving sufficiently to push the piston back up again, and it'll fire. And
I see. Yeah.
So it's quite sensitive.
It's quite a procedure.
Quite a procedure.
Yeah.
To get it right. Yeah. And that's why, in the old days when they used to race them, they didn't kickstart them, but races were started with the engine dead.
Yes.
So what you did is you put the bike in gear, first gear, and then you roll the bike backwards so the piston comes up to compression. So now, when the bike goes forward, the piston is going to go down,
gives it a bit of a
back up again.
Yeah.
And that gives you enough momentum, hopefully, for a spark and a bang, and you start the bike.
Yes.
Which is why you see the guys running along with the clutch pulled in, and then they get on here and they bounce on the saddle, and they go off side saddle. As soon as the engine starts, they go off side saddle, and then once the bike's up and running, they get on the bike and they're racing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't see that in old films. You don't see that in modern.
No. So it's basically bump start, isn't it? Is it? Or
Well, it is a bump start for a racing start.
yeah.
Because they didn't fit kick starts, no, it's the racing.
Yeah.
So
And how long have you owned this bike?
I've owned this for about 3 years now. It came from an established expert of these bikes, KSS and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And so you've only got a suspension on the front, which is what's called girder fork suspension.
Yeah.
So a single spring, and you can adjust. It's got friction dampers, not hydraulic dampers.
Yeah.
So you can adjust the amount of friction you've got there by winding this knob in.
Yeah.
And inside here, you've got friction inserts, so that when the bike hits a bump,
Yeah.
and it comes back on the rebound, it's got those friction inserts that stops it going like that.
Yeah.
It just goes once, hopefully.
So why this bike and not another old classic as such? What made you choose this one? Was Velocette something that you've always been interested in?
I've always had Velocettes.
Yeah.
They had the reputation. They were very high quality, very cleverly engineered bikes.
Yeah.
So they were a bit like not exactly a Rolls Royce, but they were, a high quality bike.
Yeah.
And they had this racing pedigree and all that sort of stuff. So I've always had velos of different types.
Yeah.
And this is just the classic velo because it held the World Championship.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's top of the pile, really, isn't it? Yeah.
They did later on, 1961. They took one of their more modern bikes with a pushrod engine.
Yeah.
And they took it to the racetrack in France, outside Paris, Montlhéry, and they rode it for 24 hours, non-stop. They also stopped for pit stops because they had to change tyres, they had to refuel it, and they set the world record for the average speed over 24 hours of just over 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
Right?
That's amazing.
The bike was actually doing about between 107 and 110 on the circuit.
Yeah. How does it actually feel when you're riding an old bike that fast? Do you feel like you're on the edge all the time?
Well, yeah, you don't want to ride. The trouble with these is you try to ride it fast. It's great. If you're on a circuit,
yeah.
you can ride it. This will do about 80 miles an hour.
Yes.
As a standard road bike.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They do 100 when they were tuned.
Yeah.
But in modern traffic with old brakes,
Yes. Yeah.
you need to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Don't ride fast on the open road.
No.
Unless we can see very, very far ahead.
Yes.
Slaps and sats, it's all right. Get it up to about 60.
Yeah. And have you got? Is this the only bike you've got? Have you got more bikes?
No,
or?
I've got the 500 Venom, which is the same type that did the 100 miles an hour world record. And that world record still stands, despite the fact that Suzuki and Yamaha and Honda all tried to beat it.
Yeah.
But in the 500cc class, they've never managed it.
Right.
They've all tried, but they've never managed it.
Yeah.
Which I think is remarkable. So I've got a 500 Venom, and I had...
Sorry, the Venom is that the brand or is that a model?
It's a model.
Right.
It's a Velocette, called a Velocette.
Oh, it's still with Velocette, right? Sorry, yeah.
So after they finished making these, they developed in the 30s a pushrod engine. Right?
Yeah.
The pushrod engine was cheaper and easier to make. The pushrod engine ended up being almost as, if not a little bit more powerful than the overhead cam.
Yeah.
So they developed those, and the final development of the 500s was a thing called the Thruxton Venom.
Yeah.
And that won several prestige endurance races in the 60s. And I was lucky enough to have the use of one. It wasn't my bike, but I had the use of one in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I used to race that in endurance events.
Oh, yeah.
It was a genuine, easily 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And this one's been on TV, is it?
This has been on TV.
What's that all about?
This was back in last year, and the BBC wanted to make a programme about Agatha Christie. And one of Agatha Christie's adventures was the fact that she dumped her fiancé when she was at a big dance and party in a country house at Oakwood House, which is between Newton Abbot and
Another one, yeah.
and they wanted to recreate the event where she dumped her fiancé. She hooked up with Archie Christie, who she eventually married.
Yeah.
And Archie Christie whisked her away from the weekend party on his motorcycle.
Just so happens to be you,
So
doesn't it?
they needed somebody with an old motorcycle.
Yeah.
So I played Archie Christie.
Yeah.
And I had Agatha Christie on the back, who was played by Lucy Worsley.
Right. Yeah.
So you can still see those programs. It's called Agatha Christie, Mystery Queen, and the programs are all on iPlayer.
Yeah.
And so all the title sequences feature the bike, me trying to start it, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
First program that's got a section where we actually whisked Agatha Christie away and go roaring off down the drive and
Fantastic.
all those good things.
Brilliant.
Sort of explain that.
Yeah. Is that? Oh no, it's all right. As soon as they play copyrighted stuff, then I can't put it on then. Any other questions I got for you? There is. Think of something. Common problems then. Are you constantly having to tinker with this and
Yes, I mean,
rattle with it?
I tried to take it out the other night to paint some bike night.
Oh yeah.
When I turned the fuel on, it sprayed petrol everywhere.
Oh dear.
It took me about half an hour to figure out where it was all coming from.
Yeah.
Little things like that. But most of the spare parts and so on and so forth, it's amazing what people have got stashed away.
Yes.
And there are lots of special. Velocette Club is very good at manufacturing spares as well.
Oh good.
So there's a very good backup. So there's not much we can't actually get.
So say the gearbox went wrong then, for example.
Yeah, you can get most of the internals of the gearbox. A lot of it's available. The things that are difficult are the aluminium castings, so crankcases, gearbox shells.
Magnesium stuff as well is quite difficult, is it?
Well, yeah, some of it is. Most of it's alloy, but there are odd items.
Yeah. And that's the problem with modern bikes, isn't it? Because when something goes wrong electronically, it's game over.
Yeah, well, there's no electronics on this at all, apart from the magneto, if you call it electronic.
Yeah, to a level.
There is a condenser in there, and there is a magnet, and there are some windings and fine wires, and that's it. But magnetos, there are modern magnetos available that will fit.
Yeah.
That have got modern magnets in them and solid state electronics and that sort of
Yeah, so you can get over it. Yeah, this is
that.
fine, isn't it? Yeah.
Or you can rebuild your original magneto. There are still people around who, will rewind magnetos and remagnetise them.
With you being interested in the older bikes, is there anything on the market at the moment of the newer bikes that you like, or is it just literally the older bikes that you like?
No, I've got a modern bike.
Right.
I've had several modern bikes since I came back, to biking 20 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I've got a Triumph Tiger 660, which is lovely.
Oh yeah.
And I'm intriguingly or anxiously, whichever way you want to call it, awaiting the introduction of the new Triumph 400.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to that.
In December.
Yeah.
Because it's a single cylinder, it's a bit lighter than my 660. And because of my background, I've always had single cylinders.
Yes, yeah.
Not twins.
So much character,
Not
haven't
twins
they?
and triples and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very interested to see what that looks like.
Yes, yeah. What about the Royal Enfield stuff? Is that?
Yeah, I've ridden some of the modern Royal Enfield stuff. I quite
350s?
I quite like the modern 350, and I've got a very good friend who's got one.
Yeah.
He came to France with me. I was not on the Velo. I was on the Tiger.
Yeah.
This year, and he really rates it.
Yeah.
But I think it's too heavy. It's heavier than my Tiger, actually.
Yeah. Oh, is it really? Right.
And
Okay.
it's quite down on power.
Yeah. 20 horsepower, isn't it? Yeah.
It'll bobble along at 60 miles an hour, on the open road and all the rest of it. But if you come through a bit of a hill on the dual carriageway and you want to overtake a truck,
Yeah.
it's all a bit dead.
No, I know. Yeah, yeah.
I did try Royal Enfield Himalayan as well.
Oh yeah.
When I was test riding stuff some years ago. Which I like the idea of.
Yeah.
But again, it's so heavy. I
Yeah.
was trying to replace a 220 kilo Triumph Bonneville, which
Yeah.
I loved.
Yes.
But it was getting a bit too heavy for me.
I was going to say they're heavy, aren't they?
Going out of the garage, especially when the tank full of fuel.
Yeah.
It's a bit top heavy.
Yeah.
But
But that's the thing though, isn't it? Because they're so well priced, they don't put a lot of money into alloys and making the bikes lighter because. Do you think?
No, I don't know. I don't know why the 350 Enfield is so heavy, but it's built very strongly for the Indian market, so it's got a very heavy frame.
Yeah.
Thick steel tubes and all that sort of stuff.
There is a word on the street at the moment that the 350 engine can be made into a 500. They can rebore it well, not rebore it, but make it.
Well,
it's like evergreen.
you've always been able to get a a 500 Bullet. You could get a 350
Yeah.
or a 500 in the old Bullet range.
That's it. Until Euro 5 come along,
but
yeah.
This modern engine, you know, is completely different from the Bullet.
Yeah, oh
You
yeah.
know, and although the later Bullets were fuel injected and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
this modern engine is much different.
Yeah.
So yes, I think they probably will end up introducing a 500 or 500cc conversion.
I think it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. Yeah. Just speaking of picture, I've got a Hunter 350 at the moment. I review motorbikes, by the way.
Okay, right.
On YouTube and do things like that. So I've got a Hunter 350 and a Meteor 350, and the Meteor for me is fantastic.
Yeah, well, that's this friend of mine, Brian. He's got a Meteor 350, which he's had for about a year now, which he really rates.
Yeah.
So, you know, he came with us to France. We didn't have any trouble really keeping up, but we weren't howling along. We were on back roads and exploring rural Brittany, really.
Yeah.
So it was,
Yeah. Right, Chris, thank you very much for that.
all right.
Much appreciated.
Nice to talk to you, Steve.
And you too. Thanks for your time on that.
Okay, thanks very much to Chris for showing me his Velocette. I do have more coming on Velocette actually next year, so stay tuned for that and subscribe. And if you could like the video, that would be very much appreciated. Next time I will be speaking to Andy, who owns a Honda CBX 1000, taking a look around the show a little bit more, and yeah, lots more to be seen yet. So if you own a bike that you'd like to feature on Exeter Rider, do get in contact with me. It's exeterrider@hotmail.com. It would be great to hear from you. Cheers.